السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Someone asked a question and it is crucial. So that is the question I'm going to react to. The person is asking, she wants to know if there has been anything pertaining to LGBTQ mentioned in the Quran and what is Islam's stance on LGBTQ. This very thing has become a subject of debate for the past few years, and it is unfortunate, but this is what the Quran says, particularly in Holy Quran chapter 7. When Hazrat Lot, he was a prophet during his era when people had to commit so many bad deeds, including when they wanted to have their way with the guests of Lot. The Quran, that is chapter 7, verses 80 to 84, has it that ولوطا إذ قال لقومه أتأتون الفاحشة ما سبقكم بها من أحد من العالمين. He says, "Oh, my people, do you want to bring upon yourself an abominable act such as no one has ever committed in the world before?" You know, these very words are what I would say warning or admonition to people who wanted to commit a bad deed. What was the bad deed? The Quran follows it up. It says that أنكم لتأتون الرجال شهوة من دون النساء, that you look at men with lust. You look at men with lust. Whereas there are women there, meaning that the men of that time wanted to have their way with the women. Sorry, with another man. Men of that time wanted to have their way with another man, which is like homosexuality, which those people used to propagate. This was a serious thing, you know, for even Lot to think about. So he said that, "Oh, my people, do you want to bring upon yourself such an abominable act which no one in the world has ever committed?" That is an abominable act. Seriously, it is. And I'll tell you why in the subsequent wordings of mine. He says that Bal antum qawmun musrifun. You are people who are sinners. You have exceeded all bounds. You've done all the bad deeds. You've done every bad thing, and now you are going way above what it is that you're even supposed to do, or what it is that is within your limit. You exceeded every bound. Where have they exceeded? It is because what was lawful for them, they've gone beyond it. And now they wanted to go into, you know, those things that are not lawful and way above what even human beings cannot even think about. What was that thing? That thing was that they wanted to have their way with other men. Who were those men? They are the people who were the guests. They were the guests of, you know, Lot. They came to visit Lot to tell him certain, you know, information, and Lot hosted them. You know, in the subsequent verse, let me even read the entire verse so that you hear these things for yourself. He says what? وَمَا كَانَ جَوَابًا قَوْمِهِ إِلَّا أَنْ قَالُوا اخْرِجُوهُمْ مِنْ قَرْيَتِكُمْ. What? أَخْرِجُوهُمْ مِنْ قَرْيَتِكُمْ. That is, those people of the time of Lot told Lot, if you want us to do away with such act, then take them out of this town, your town. Take them out. Why should you keep them here? Take them out. I am someone maybe who has received guests. Some people came to visit me, and you tell me to do away with those people, take them away. Come on, that is even against, you know, that thing called you know, just and hospitality even. Now, what is the conversation? It says what? Innahum unasun yatatahharun. Why do they want them out of the town? It is because they were people who were pure. They were sinless. They were people who did not want to engage themselves in any immoral act. All right? That is why those people wanted them out of the town. So it is not because they were good people. It is not because they were bad people. It is because they were good people and they wanted to do away with them. Such people. Such people. Okay. What does the word says? It says again, فَأَنْجَيْنَاهُ وَأَهْلَهُ إِلَّا امْرَأَتَهُ, that we saved him, who? Lot, and his family, except his wife. Why? كَانَتْ مِنَ الْغَابِرِينَ. She was part of those people who wanted to remain behind. That is why she was not saved. Okay, what is the next verse? It says what? وَأَمْطَرْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ مَطَرًا, that we rained upon them what? Matara. Matara actually means that there were stones which were from fire, red hot, that we rained on them, meaning that we destroyed them outright to an extent that not even their bones were left behind. Everything was burnt, and their entire town, everything, houses, everything was just submerged, you know. So they were covered in fire. They were burnt to the brim. Nothing was remained of them. And what is it? فانظر كيف كان عاقبة المجرمين. So look at how we, you know, or look at the end of those people who are sinners. This is the wordings of the Quran. It says that those people who were homosexuals were punished. They were punished severely to an extent that there was a rain of fire on them in their homes, in their towns, and they were not having any place to escape to. So if you ask me about what the Quran says about homosexuality, LGBTQ, and its, you know, related issues, this is what I'll tell you, that the Quran is solely against this. It is solely against this. And notwithstanding, I have to go to even the dictionary. I have this. This is one of the basic dictionaries you could get, or you know, in town. It's called Mu'jam Talab. There's dictionary for students. Not even Lisan Lane and Akrab. Akrab and Lane have actually, you know, discussed this very verse and then the wordings into detail, right? Because you can get the root words there and then get the meanings and everything there. Now, what does this very you know, dictionary I have here talks about fahisha, and what are some of the related words relating to the word fahisha? The first one, and I'm using it because it says that fahisha, this is fahisha, a big fahisha. This is a big fahisha. Now, what is the meaning of fahisha? The meaning of it is shameless. First of all, shameless. If someone is shameless, then you can associate it with what? Fahisha. All right? Subhanallah. It says, Atatuna al fahisha ma sabaqakum biha min ahadin min al-alamin. Are you bringing upon yourself such an abominable act, such a shameless act? Shameless act, according to this. It says a shameless, right? Another word, it says what? Obscene. Obscene act. It says vulgar, right? Vulgar is also one of the meanings of fahisha. Now, what is again? It is grievous and what? Immoderate. So all these words are words relating to fahisha. That is, if you are into that very thing, it is immorality, it is obscene, it is vulgar, it is you know, things that are way outrageous. That is how the Arabic words describe this very thing. So it is very serious in the sight of God. Now, what is the words of the hadith, particularly about this thing? Now, there are numerous ahadiths which could be, you know, related to, or read out to you, for you to know that Islam does not tolerate these things at all. And I'll give you, you know, in detailed explanation, particularly about certain people who were affected. I would say they were affected because yes, they went under the knife to become who they were not, and now they regretted bitterly. They regretted. Now, according to one hadith, this hadith is from At-Tabarani, and then one is also from Mujam, but Mujam al-Awad. They are all having the same words, so I'm going to, quote them. He says what? Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if a woman comes upon another woman, they are both adulterers. So according to this narration, it traces, that very thing called so-called, what is the name of it? I don't want to use LGBTQ. The homosexuals, right? It says that if that happens, then it is adultery. That is how even the hadith relate to. And he says, well, if a man comes upon another man, then they are both adulterers. So if these people merge with the intention of lust, then we should treat it as adultery. Now, if you look at the Quran about adultery, it says that you should lash them. Those people who goes into that, we should lash them 80 lashes. And there are even some mahadis that says that we should even kill them. Now, this very thing which I read, The reference, someone may tell me that it is no, it is not authentic and stuff. It is from At-Tabarani al-Mu'jam al-Awwat, yes, hadith number 4159, and it is also in another narration, that is al-Bayhaqi Shu'ab al-Iman, that is hadith number 5705. Sorry, hadith number 5075. 5075, that is where these words could be found. So according to Islam, Islam really frowns at those acts, that very act of this LGBTQ, seriously. And it is also in line with the human logic. If you sit down particularly and you think about it, I'll come there, just let's hold on for a while. Now, in another narration, it says that narrated by Abdullah bin Abbas. Abdullah bin Abbas was actually the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, and he says the Holy Prophet ﷺ said, "If you find anyone doing as Lot's people did, kill the one who does it, and the one on whom it is done to." So for this one, he says that you should, get rid of them because they've done an abominable act, things that are, way outrageous, way outrageous. Remember that the Quran, according to the Quran, those people were, eliminated by God. They had, the rain of fire on their heads, and then they were all killed at once. Now, I am not an advocate for these killings, but I'm only narrating the whole thing about the verdict of Islam. Now, this is it. Someone may misunderstand me and say that, oh, Islam is that religion which is, interested in bloodshed and stuff. No, no. If you want those people, if you really want to know those people who are into bloodshed, okay, who are really, really interested in bloodshed, then let me tell you, these Israelis who are killing the Palestinians, they are number one. They are number one. They did it in Syria. They influenced America to take an action against the Middle East and a whole lot of things. Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi, Libya. You remember? So who is actually that person who is into bloodshed? Who? Don't tell me that I am. No, I am not. I'm not interested in that. I'm only telling you the truth. Now, those people who are real bad people are those people who go under the knife to change their identity, the so-called transgender, quote and unquote. They are those people who are the wicked. They are so wicked to an extent that they could even go under the knife to change their identity into people they are not. Now see, this very narration which I read is from Sunan Abu Dawood, hadith number 4462, and it is also found in Jami al-Tirmidhi, that's hadith number 1456. Sunan Ibn Majah, it is also found there, that is hadith number 2561, right? So according to Islam, Islam really frowns at these things. It frowns at it. Now the next hadith which I'm going to relate is also from Musnad Ahmad. Now, Ahmad bin Hanbal, he is also one of the elites of Islam of those days. He had this written in the 12th century. He said what? That it was narrated by Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas have already stated who he is. He said, the Prophet ﷺ cursed the people who actually do these acts. And the words are, quote and unquote, cursed is the one who does the action of the people of Lot. What was the action? Homosexuality. That was the action. Homosexuality. So anyone who engages in homosexuality is a curse. Muslim Ahmed, that is the book, and it is in hadith number 1878. That is where it is found. Now, the next narration is also from Ahmad. That is Ahmad bin Hanbal. He, as I said, is an elite of Islam in those days. He says what? Ahmad narrate from Ibn Abbas that the Prophet said, "May Allah curse the one who does action of the people of Lot." 3 times. So the Prophet, according to Musnad Ahmad bin Hanbal, Musnad Ahmad is the book, in hadith number 2915, it says that the Prophet cursed the people who does that, the people who do that 3 times. If it is a good thing, do you really think that he will curse them? No. If it is a good thing, he wouldn't have done that. So it is a bad thing, and that is why he cursed them. Now, An-Nawaira, he lived in the 12th and 13th century. Now it is 13th century because he lived up to 1332. So he is in the 13th century. Now he reported in his Nihaya that Muhammad is reported to have said, What he feared most for his people were the practices of the people of Lot. Now, the Holy Prophet was afraid of something, that the practices of the people of Lot will also affect his ummah, the Muslims, and they may also engage in the same thing. So, with this, it means that it is something harmful. And if you don't know yet, yes, I will explain to you why it becomes harmful. In another narration, it is stated, it was narrated by Jabir, who said that the Prophet ﷺ said, there is nothing I fear for my followers more than the deed of the people of Lot. And this is narrated in At-Tirmidhi, hadith number 1457, and Ibn Majah, hadith number 2563. He feared so much for his people. And what is that act? The act of the people of Lot. Homosexuality. Islam frowns at it. That is why they cannot take it to the Arab countries. They can't take it there. It is actually something, which does not go in connection with logic. It doesn't follow any logic. It's against humanity, actually. LGBTQ is against humanity. They are rising against humanity. They call it human right, but there is nothing human right about it. It is not human right. It is actually human rights abuse. It is cruelty. There is another narration which is in Sahih Bukhari, which says that, narrated by Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, the Prophet cursed effeminate men, that is, men who actually dress or behave like women. The Prophet, he cursed them, and he says what? Those men who are in similitude or assumes the manner and the identity of women. Those men who do that, they were cursed by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And again, says, well, those women who assumes the manners of men. So it is, the alternative, the opposite sides. Men who wants to be women, and women who takes on the identity of men. The Prophet cursed them. He cursed them, actually. And he says what? And he said, turn them out of your houses. Turn them away. Send them away from your houses. The Prophet turned out such and such man, and Umar turned out such and such woman. And it is narrated in Sahih Bukhari, hadith number 5886. So Islam really frowns. Islam really frowns at this. Islam frowns at this. Frowns at it. Men who wants to be with men. Women who wants to be with women. I'm giving you all the references. You could go and search for yourself what Islam says. That is why I'm quoting the hadith. It's something I don't really do, but I have to give you the references so that you go search it for yourself. It is unfortunate that people are engaging in such act and they take pleasure in it. What is good in this? Let's discuss something about transgender so that you will know that you really don't want to go there. You don't want to. There are two women. They are now women. They are now grown-ups. Both of them went under the knife, and their breasts were cut off, both of them. One of them had her uterus removed. Her uterus was removed. And they were teenagers. These were teenagers. They went under the knife, got their breasts cut off, both of them. One of them had her uterus removed, and they've regretted bitterly. Now they are in their late 20s, almost 30. And one of them wants to have a child of her own. She can't. She cannot have her own child. And the other one cannot breastfeed her child. She cannot. What good is there in transgender? What good is there in it? It is actually human rights abuse. It is cruelty. There is nothing compassionate about it. They link it to human rights, right? They link it to it. Okay, fine. If you say that a person changing his or her identity to become who he or she isn't is human rights, what about a woman who is a Muslim and want to put on the veil? What about that? You frown at that person. You think that person is actually, suppressed, and they are suppressed, and they are oppressed, and their husbands are oppressing them. Meanwhile, they are not complaining. But those people who are actually going under medical surgery, and they can't because they've changed their identity. Their identities are gone for good. They cannot give birth on their own. They cannot have their own kids. They cannot breastfeed their own children. And you think that this is actually human rights. I think, in my words, I think that those people who do the surgery are to be arrested. I think they should be arrested because they are the people who stripped off other person's identity. Now the person has regretted, those two females, they've regretted bitterly and they cannot go back. What is good in that? What is the human right here? Human rights advocates, where are you? Where are you? Do you really think that the world need to go under this? The world has to, experience this to survive. Do you really think that? The world doesn't have to survive because of that. The world is to survive due to procreation and proper care of human. If we take proper care of humanity, that is where humans can survive. Human survival is not based on homosexuality and that nonsense. For me personally, transgender is having everything to do with what? Mental disorder. Transgender. It has everything to do with mental disorder. When you don't have your way out, when you don't know what it is that you have to do, when maybe something has affected you mentally, that is where you go under the knife to become who you are not. Listen, those people who are pushing that ideology of transgender and LGBT and its related issues, I'm sorry, but I have to tell you this. There is nothing good about it. There is nothing good about it. Some way, somehow, some people are coming to you for you to answer what it is that you've done to humanity. What about the children? Are you saving them? Are you really saying that a teenager going under the knife to become a male or whatever it is that you call it, transgender, whatever, saves that person's life? Do you really think that this very act saved them? Teenagers, are you really fighting for the youth? Are you really fighting for the kids, the children, those who are upcoming? Are you fighting for them? Or you are fighting against them? You actually want to fight against the human race and humanity and everything relating to human, progress. That is what you want to fight against. Sometimes some people will go about doing things and thinking that their ideology is the best for humanity. Meanwhile, it is not. And there are people who actually will support it because they have nothing to support. It is unfortunate. I'm talking about two female who went under the knife, had their breast cut off, and one of them had her uterus removed. What good did you do to the person? The person now regrets and he cannot go back or she cannot go back. What is good about that? What is good about that? It is not saving humanity, it is destroying humanity. It is destroying humanity. Look, those people who are into this, homosexuality, men who are into that, what do? They later on go and buy Pampers and they'll be putting on Pampers. Meanwhile, they are not babies, they are not kids. Why? Because something about them is changed for good. It cannot be replaced. So what is good about that? Are you fighting for humanity or fighting against humanity? You are fighting against humanity, and it is insanity, it is cruelty. It is cruelty. You are standing against humanity and you are doing everything to get rid of the human race. It pains me so much that someone cannot stand up for this. And a whole country can be crippled because the country refused to accept that very insane sort of ideology. It pains me so much. LGBTQ is something we should frown at. We shouldn't tolerate it. Transgender, whatever, and queer. Something funny happened. It happened some years back, I think 2 or 3 years back. A woman said she was queer. She was, she thought that she was table and she wanted to be a table. So every day she would walk like a table, doing, I don't know what we call it, the judo or whatever. And then she would just, go like a table, go and sit there at a certain, gates and be there. And people will be watching her and asking, what are you doing? And she says, I feel like I'm a table. I feel like I'm a table. And she will be there for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and she will be there. One day, there was a shootout. Gunshots, they had guns everywhere, brum, 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 and people were firing guns. And this very person who said she is a table got up and ran like a human. What changed? Oh my goodness. What happened? She realized that that very moment she cannot act a table. She's not white table, she's a human. Why is she deceiving people? That is the deceit. She's actually deceiving people. She's deceiving people and herself. There is a thing I have to let you know. You know, the most unfortunate thing is you thinking that you are deceiving people, but you are deceiving yourself. When you deceive yourself, that is the most unfortunate thing on earth. When you deceive yourself. So this very woman got up and ran like a human, running with their two legs, paddling her hands, running. What is good about LGBT? What is good about it? When it had not been in this world, we were okay, everything was fine. Until it changed. And now let me ask these very questions. When we have transgender people, okay, when we have transgender people, and let's say they commit crimes, they have to be imprisoned, right? Do you take them to male cell or female cell? Particularly if there are female who have, removed their breast, and then, when they commit a crime, do you put them among the male or female? Where do you put them? And if there is a male who has gone under the knife to become whatever it is that you call it, when the person commits a crime, where do you put that person? In the female cell or male cell? Or you're going to create a new division of cell, calling it transgender cell? Are you going to do that? What about the hospitals? What about the hospital? If there is something there in the hospital, and you have someone who has gone under the knife to change his or her identity, and the person got sick or ill, and you have to take the person to the hospital, where do you put them? Among the male or among female? Where do you put them? You've not even figured out how you are going to put them in the hospital and the prisons. In schools, particularly in this part of the world, in schools, male and female don't mix, right? We have, the male dormitory and the female hostel and stuff. Where do you put them? Do you merge them? Do you separate them? Do you create a room for transgender? What are we doing as people? What are we doing to ourselves? First of all, we are not doing the right thing. We are not doing the right thing. And we are not being sincere. We are not being fair to humanity, human race. We are actually against human race. Why? Because, first of all, you've changed someone's identity. Secondly, you've taken the person's identity away for good. Third, you've acted cruel on the person by taking off the organs of another human being, and the person cannot take care of basic needs of the person's offsprings. Those people who cannot give birth are gone. That identity is gone for good. So it is cruelty, it is insanity. There is something here which we have to fight for. We have to restore that humanity, what human stood for. We have to fight for it. We don't have to be against where human has gotten. We have to actually fight against that LGBTQ and everything relating to it. Everyone had his or her own, culture and customs and traditions and everything. All right. In Africa, there are the same thing. In Europe and those other places, the Arabs, everyone had his or her own customs and traditions. And what has happened? Now, what has happened is they condemn the other people's, customs, traditions, and culture and everything. They condemn that and rather impose theirs on you, thinking that, okay, ours are good, take it on, and it will help you. And now every African think that the whites have the best. If they have the best, why would they establish their companies in Africa? Why? If they have the best, why do they have to come to Africa? If you have the best, then you don't go to those who are poor. They don't go to them. No, unless they have to, give them charity or something like that. But they come to Africa to establish their companies. They come to Africa to exploit the oil. They come to Africa to take away the gold, the diamond, the bauxite, and everything. Uranium and etc. Why? Why? Because they know that there is something good in Africa. But they want to destroy it by, first of all, destroying the identity of the people, making them feel inferior, and then imposing their attitude, their customs, and everything, their, cruel ideologies on the people. so that the people will no more see themselves as superior to any other person. Rather, they can identify themselves as people who have nothing and who are nothing. Why do you have to do that? Actually, the whites are the people who are cruel. Why are they not taking LGBT to Saudi Arabia? Why are they not taking it there? Why are they not taking it into the Middle East? It is because they know that the people over there know their customs, they know themselves, so they cannot impose upon them. It is only Africa that they have their way through. And now people used to marry 2, 3, 4 and stuff, and they said that that is actually a bad thing. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they say, marrying 2, 3, 4 is a bad thing, and you have to marry just one person, and then blah 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 blah. And now they are saying that man can marry a man, and woman can marry a woman, and a woman can go under the knife to become a man, and vice versa. And people have accepted it. What are we doing as people? What are we doing? What are we doing in Africa? What are we doing as people? Do we really have to stand for this? Do we really have to stand for this? Do we really have to tolerate this very thing? Do we really have to tolerate it? Where an old man, an elderly person have to put on diapers because something has been changed, something has been taken, stripped off from him for good. Why do you have to do that? We have to fight against that. We don't have to fight for it. People fly planes all over. And listen, if you don't know, let me tell you, regardless of how it goes, some people are benefiting seriously. Some people are benefiting out of that illness that very thing will give you. Homosexuality, what you will get out of it, that illness that you will get out of it, someone will benefit massively from it. So that very person has to fight so that it is instated. And when people are affected, then they will be treated. And those very same people are those who are going to bring into existence the medication. If you don't know, think about it. Put it here and start doing your research about it. You don't have to fight because LGBTQ is in existence and we have to just leave it as it is. You don't have to leave it as it is. Africans were Africans before the coming of the Europeans. Ghanaians were Ghanaians before the coming of the Europeans. So you don't have to allow them to change your identity sake of, they are superior, they are this, they are that. It doesn't make sense. Do not fall for this. It is cruelty. There is nothing compassionate about it, and you don't have to stand up for it. You have to stand against it. Do everything to stand against it. That is the best thing you can do to yourself and that of the next generation. Because if you don't fight against LGBTQ, you will actually end up destroying the next generation and the next and the next, and human race will be erased. Everything will be gone, and there is nothing to be proud of. Whatever you toiled for will be gone for good. If that is what you want, then push. I have given you my word. God is going to punish those people. He's going to punish them severely, and that is the reason for which we should do away with that. We don't have to tolerate it. You don't have to. This is where I'll end my speech. And now I'll tell you this, that Islam frowns at this. It doesn't tolerate it, regardless of whoever you are. If you are a Muslim, then you don't have to engage in that. You don't have to, be in that. You don't have to stand up for that. You have to stand against that. You don't have to tolerate it. You have to tell the people who are into it to put a stop to it. There's nothing good in that. There's nothing good that comes out of it. It comes with medical complications. And sooner or later, people will get to know that they are having serious problems and they cannot take care of it. And it is unfortunate that God created you natural and you've altered your body and now you have to suffer for it. Those people who went for enlargement of their backside and now they are suffering. Some of them are really suffering. They are suffering seriously. Let this video go viral. I'm telling you, listen, let it go viral. Let everyone hear this. Those who go for enlargement are suffering. They are suffering bitterly, and some of them are all over the social media. Why should you go and change your identity? Why? A time is coming where some people are going to benefit from you. So for you to be safe, just stay away from that very act. Stay natural, stay pure, so that you are going to be saved. That is the only thing to protect yourself. No one will stand up for you. You would have to fight for yourself. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.